All right, so welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where we're here to live a life of purpose, to be flourished and fulfilled in all areas of our life. So today I wanted to discuss the topic of outslowing the darkness
Oh,
and distinguishing what that is to you, and how does one do that?
a couple things are coming through. In my childhood, I was raised by a very unwell woman, narcissist, and by narcissist I don't mean self-absorbed. I mean literally unable to consider the feelings or the you know needs of another person. So, and she was very smart, college professor, and so my experience was being very alone and having these sort of psychological verbal attacks coming in all the time when I would actually want something or need something. There was some sort of verbal attack of I'm using the word attack like when people are snarky or impatient or grumpy or forceful or this sort of the general sense attack, and attack from an energetic point of view, if you will. Um, and so um, And so the attacks would come like almost instantaneously. I would say the thing and then bam, some shameful statement or attacking statement, embarrassing thing or whatever. Which was designed to get me to not need anything or to retreat or to change my mind or to get back on the program of giving her whatever she needed, whatever that was moment by moment, like always. And so I learned to be really quick. I learned the art of verbal self-defense at a very young age. I got really good at it, which is both served me well and got me into tons of trouble for the rest of my life. And so there's this immediacy, this tempo involved, right? So the darkness, let's say, and I'm speaking in very general terms, so that's for a little grace, but the darkness, let's say the narcissistic mother whose child is just trying to, you know, get what they need and make it whatever. Um, this tempo of the darkness is really immediate. It's like, bam, you say the thing and bam. And then what I learned to do is to respond equally quickly. So something happens, bam, bam. And I got really good at that. And that served me like in professional sales. I had um, a successful career in professional sales. And while I wasn't being attacked or attacking people necessarily, that ability to respond with immediacy served me well, to not have to like go consult something or think something through for 20 minutes or something like that. Now, outside the darkness. So in this part of my life, I'm 61 years old now. In this part of my life, uh, I'm uh, accountable for the leadership and the culture with Earthworking University, and I train the leaders and with a very specific culture in mind, one of love and integrity and personal responsibility, and working from inspiration and that sort of thing. So people come in from time to time and get triggered. When people get triggered, oftentimes they attack. And I'm usually the one drawing the line or saying the thing, so the attacks come specifically at me most often. And so my tendency, my patterns, my upbringing, my training, and my experience are to annihilate the attacker with the immediacy and the accuracy and the veracity of my response. So back in my sort of in my unconscious training or whatever, if I get a 3, a victory would be to land a 6 immediately and have the person just have no other thought of attacking me, which is how I learned to survive my childhood. And I grew up in rough neighborhoods and got picked on at school. And so anyway, this sort of defense tactic served me well when it did. And so, but here's the problem. there's a couple problems. One is that response, that immediate harsh response, um, simply encourages the same, right? So it's like there's a bunch of wars sort of simmering and going on in the world right now. We're possibly or have already begun World War III. History will know for sure. But there's a pattern of, one team sent, one team sends a rocket over there, and the next team sends 2 rockets, and the next team sends 4 rockets, and 8 rockets, and 10 rockets, and the bloodshed could stop today if everybody would just stop. But that's not even in the awareness of the combatants. All they know is they did that, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna teach them a lesson, and we have a world full of war. If everybody would just stop and outslow the darkness that they are presented with, instead of ramping up in tempo and veracity, we would be ramping down in tempo and veracity. You give me a 4, I'll give you a 3. I give you a 3, you give me a 2. I give you 2, you give me a 1. Oh, snap, we're done. Right? So one ill is when you counterattack, let's call it a counterattack. I rarely attack anybody, but I've taken great care and diligence to train myself to be a counterpuncher. Right? When that thing comes in, you're done. Right? So the problem with that is the response to a counterpunch is a counterpunch, and off we go. So that's one problem. The second problem is I'm literally training people how to be in our environment. It's okay to hit back with twice the accuracy and twice the velocity and twice the damage, which is my preferred tactic. From my past.
Yeah.
And so another alternative is, and also like the immediate counterpunch lacks any wisdom or compassion. Of course, people come in and get all triggered. Of course, people have been beaten on, and my childhood was dark, but it pales in comparison to some childhoods of people who come in. And so, of course, people are triggered, and of course, people are reactive, and of course, people are attacky, and defensive, and of course, like it can literally be no other way. And so, it lacks compassion and wisdom. Like, in that immediacy of the response, what gets lost is, well, what else did I expect? You know, so an upgrade, a massive upgrade for me. It hasn't been easy for me, and I feel the attack on the inside. Like I'll like, rah, like I can feel I can feel the thing coming out sometimes. Like whoa, okay, chill out, little brother. I'm talking to myself. Relax, breathe, 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 breathe. Do not get up. Do not do do not do the thing. Don't grab that thing. Okay.
Sit.
Yeah. So it hasn't necessarily been easy. I've gotten the hang of it, and reliable to me is a sort of really a big deal. Reliable to me means it almost never not happens. So I'm not quite reliable yet, but I'm in the neighborhood of reliable. Like I'm pretty much got this thing dialed in. But what this does is it de-escalates and it demonstrates compassion, and the outside in the darkness. Let me say what it is first. So the attack comes in. Now I still feel I'm a very sensitive person. That doesn't mean I'll go off if you go boo, I'm gonna go off and crying. What that means is I feel all the attacks. Like I literally, like I can feel them. I can feel the animosity, I can feel the judgment, I can feel the trigger, I can feel it. So that is not really assisting me in the outside. That's kind of like another hurdle for me to work through in outside in the darkness because ow, and now you're up. Where in the past I was ow, boom. I also have martial arts training, which is all about fluid, real-time, accurate, deadly response. So I both studied this as growing up in the environment I grew up in, and physically, formally, and all that kind of stuff. So there I am having my cup of coffee, and boom, I get slapped across the face energetically. Like, that's kind of how it feels, right? So my whole life has been oriented around a quick, deadly, accurate response. So it's taken me something to be able to ow, and then no response for a moment. Just no response. Breathe. If my body's getting cranked up, let me just breathe into it. Let my body settle down. If my mind's getting all cranked, ego's getting all cranked up, let's get him. Let's get him. Like, hold on, little brother. Hold on, hold on. And just breathe for a second. And that time lapse has been getting shorter and shorter and shorter for me, to where oftentimes people don't notice that I'm in a de-escalation phase. Like it's literally like half a second or a quick breath or something like that. And then I mean, that's almost all of it right there. If you could just get that pause in, then common sense and wisdom and commitment can be heard, can be allowed to win the moment. And I think that's the answer. I can get into, like, now we're getting into coaching, like a whole kind of another topic, but it's really that moment of really committing. So I've committed to outsourcing the darkness is a wise and profitable approach. So I'm committed to that. And so I've been testing it and practicing it for, I don't know, a year, maybe something like that. And so, yeah, let me just pause it.
Yeah, I'm really hearing the distinguishment of each word, you know, like out is like something to be rebuilt. It's like something that is a movement and you're wanting to,
Your audio is a little bit weak. Either come a little
okay,
closer.
okay.
Yeah,
How's that?
yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it's like something that wants to be brought forth, and then
Yeah,
slow. What it's reminding me of is that it's a gradualness, that it's conveying your patience and your compassion for what you're committed to, what you were
yeah,
distinguishing right there. And it's
yeah,
like a gentle persistence rather
yeah.
than this punch. You said you're taking it. Someone gets you as 3, you're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna give you a 1, right? And so um
That's really hard for me to do.
me too. I totally am seeing all my darkness that I'm seeing
Right,
that
right, right.
inside of myself, the struggles that I currently have, the fears that I have, and I loved how you distinguish the ego when it's like, okay, buddy, the mind's going all jumbled. It's got all these justifications, all these things
All
attached.
those
Let's
years
go.
of your practice just wasted.
Oh, and that's everything. It's like it's got all of the evidence. It's got all the things to say, yep, this is exactly
Yep,
what it is.
you
And you've
deserve.
got and you've got however many years you've got trained in it that of approval. Okay, yeah, you can do this. And it worked. And it worked. And
Yep,
but the thing that I'm hearing that's different is that it's obstructing your spiritual path and what you're committed to. And going in reverse is I really feel like the foundation is what you're committed to. And
yep,
so what I'm also hearing in this is, how can someone acknowledge and accept their own darkness and without their judgment? Because I'm seeing a lot of people have judgment and resistance to their own darkness or
yep.
someone else's. And so I'll repeat the question: is how can someone acknowledge and accept their own darkness without judgment or resistance?
Yeah. Well, I spent most of my life judging my childhood, judging my mother, judging various like perceived villains, like at various chapters of my life, there's this villain and that villain, and that person did this to me, and that person spoke to me that way, and blah, 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 blah. And so, I had anger and judgment. And one day I was talking to John, and I'm noticing that everything that's either been asked of me or I saw that there was to create here, I've been literally been trained in almost since birth. Oh, you know, so one of the benefits of being raised the way I was raised is I'm extremely self-sufficient and extremely resourceful because it was just me. And it wasn't me in a smooth ocean. It was me in rough seas, with very little guidance. And most of the guidance I received was was not actually for me. And um, so fast forward, being a leader in a world movement, let's say, global movement, I'm I'm very resourceful and I'm able to produce results. I'm able to produce massive results with very little resource and very little support. And that has served us well. And I'm also used to being attacked. Like I feel it and I don't like it, and I've learned to be reactive. But as I learn to be responsive rather than reactive, the attacks that I get really pale in comparison to what it was to be a child being attacked by his mother. And so these people come in and accuse me of this and accuse me of that, and judge me about this, that, and the other. And it's I don't enjoy it. It's like I just wanna be kids on a playground and play together. And then my experience is every now and then just randomly punches me in the face, and we play for a while, and then somebody randomly punches me in the face, like that, right? So I'd prefer, if they didn't punch me in the face, frankly. But like I had an experience today where one of our village members was doing a little daily thing on the Tao Te Ching, like a meeting, oh, I'd never done it before. I have a great interest in the Tao Te Ching, and I've, led conversations about it and been hugely inspired and gotten great value. Oh, this would be a great way for us to connect. Within 10 minutes, he's attacking me about this, that, or the other. It's like I'm not even upset with him, but that's completely the opposite of what I was there for. And I pointed that out a couple of times to no positive receiving of that communication. So I got up and left. But so that's an example. I just want to be able to float around the village and have awesome conversations with people. But what I represent authority, and I represent rigor, and I represent integrity, and I represent the mission. And I'm the guy who will enforce consequences. That's kind of my role. So there's a lot. If anybody comes in with issues with authority, or issues with men, or issues with integrity, or issues with actually following the rules, that sort of thing, I'm the one they often I'm the one that they kind of bump up against. So anyway, I got lost. Can you give me the question? Was there a question else you
Yeah,
wanted?
it was, how can someone acknowledge and accept their own darkness without judgment or
Thank
resistance?
you. I actually I am actually am on track. I just lost my I
Woohoo!
just lost my awareness of it. So that's an example of, I'm not like, I've had so much of that in my life. It's a little bitty blip on the radar. This little incident this morning, right? So I saw him again, and I'm filled with love, and I gave him a little peace sign, to which he was surprised. I don't know where he's at. He might be really angry at me, he might not be. It's entirely up to him. But um, I noticed that so the way I put it is, my whole life I was shape shifting and conforming and shrinking myself down to this weird little shape. And then I show up here at Northbrook University, and after a little while working with John, I realized I'm the exact shape to unlock all the locks that we're dealing with. Like, I'm the key to unlock, like, the leadership program and the culture and the many of the things that we do here. And like, oh, so then I literally began to have a reverence for my past, and all the things that happened. Like, I'm not an illusion. Oh, that didn't really happen. Like, I'm things happen that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Conversations happen that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But the net result is, I seem to be uniquely capable and prepared to perform the functions that I do here. So I've always said, I follow the results. I follow the fruit. I follow the results. And so if I hold true to that, then I must acknowledge and notice that my rather unusual history has prepared me in a rather unusual way to perform multiple tasks that are very unusual. So if my upbringing or anything else, if I had a loving mother and an awesome dad and a great environment, and I didn't get picked on at school, and teachers didn't, all crazy shit that happened. If that had happened, I wouldn't be the resource I am for this mission, and I would do it all over again to be the resource for this mission. Like it's paid in full as far as I'm concerned. The debt's paid in full. The debt of my past and the debt of the people who have transgressed against me. I now accept as part of the preparation for this very unique and very blessed journey I get to be on. So it's like reinventing the story. Oh, bad childhood, bad mother, like reinventing the story to, oh, perfect childhood, perfect mother, perfect preparation for the blessing I get to receive now. And more importantly, not the blessing that I get to receive, but the blessing of creating an environment that looks like it could possibly bless people for generations and generations to come. And so, was that a good deal? Yes, 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 yes. I would do that again. I wouldn't have someone else do it because it's kind of like a personal decision to say yes to something like that because it really was unpleasant. But you know, I can stay in my heart. I can be highly functional in highly adverse circumstances, which from time to time has been a blessing.
Again, commitment.
Yes. Oh, one thing that John says a lot is the means don't create the ends, the means are the ends. So every time I be any way other than loving, loving, by the way, isn't being a marshmallow. Like, so that I don't let people walk all over me, but I seek the highest perspective and I seek the highest action. Do I get it right every time? Absolutely not. But I'm very much in the game and have a very deep commitment to seek the highest perspective, the highest action, the highest words, the highest conversation, the highest commitment, rather than the most deadly. And I'm trained myself for many years to have the most deadly response. Now I'm training myself to have the highest response.
Yeah. Because I do see that there's a delicate balance between tolerating something versus
Yeah, yeah, and showing
acknowledging
compassion.
it. Yeah, acknowledging.
So with this incident this morning, how I didn't tolerate it is I removed my body. So my communication was unacceptable. And how I communicated that was, a smile on my face and, hey, brother, I love you. And I got up and I left while he was, jabbering the whole time.
Okay.
So that was hey, I'm not somebody that you can talk to that way. And we don't do that here. And let me demonstrate that by removing myself from the situation.
Okay.
And I wasn't ugly. I wasn't
Back. Yeah. Yeah.
hard with it. But I was firm, gentle and firm, kind and firm, gentle and firm is kind of how I constructed in my head.
Yeah. And it's confronting it. It's
I'm
so
as gentle.
confronting.
Let me just finish the statement. As gentle with people as they will allow, and then I just dial up the firmness to whatever extent is required for them to hear and respond to what I'm committed to.
Oh,
Integrity,
wow.
personally, coming from love, interdependence, etc. So people are misbehaving, quote unquote, attacking someone who just came to do your master class. That is, one perspective, a simple way to say that would be bad behavior. And so how I responded, like, hey, that's bad behavior. I'm not gonna tolerate that. More. Okay, I'm gonna leave. Okay, goodbye. And then the communication is clear. And then there'll be a follow-up. Given how I left it, it's incomplete. And so that's perfect. Well, it's not finished. It's complete for me. I'm not lost in it, but it's unfinished. And so there will be how I left it demands that there will be a conversation. So it gives him a chance to cool down and find a higher perspective or not or whatever. And then, within a day or two, we'll come back together and, finish what is currently complete.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Complete for me, probably.
What practices have you use to cultivate self-awareness and recognize the patterns that you find in yourself?
Um, I started training to be a coach and a leader. That's really where it started to come together. I spent a lot of time with Landmark Education and went through their curriculum plus other stuff, and then went into their leadership track, and a couple of decades of literally leading at a professional level. And one of the benefits of that, oh, again, that was a fruit of my upbringing, right? So that was incredibly rigorous, and there was lots of dysfunction, and people were often very disrespectful to me. People I was accountable to were often very cruel and disrespectful. But it wasn't that big of a deal for me because, like, I had that my whole life and got nothing out of it. And so I still had it, but I was actually training and developing myself to be something like really, in my world, extraordinary and something I could be proud of. So just another example of how I can honor my past and my darkness is I would have never gotten to the Landmark experience had I had so much experience with, dysfunction and people not being what they say they are, and, all the things, shaming and attacking and stuff. But to answer your question more specifically, getting on the court and practicing, and I took it real seriously. This whatever the training was, I jumped in, like all the way. And so many hours of study and, lots of hours of literally on the phone. This is before Zoom and stuff, like on the phone coaching people and at events and at people's home, literally leading. And, it was clunky AF for I don't know how long, months or years or whatever. But you stick with anything in a committed way and you start to get really good at it. So I began to be effective as a coach and a leader pretty quickly because I took the work of being a participant and being a follower very seriously. And then as I led and coached more, I could see myself better. And as I could see myself better, I could see other people better. And, there's very two supportive things, working on oneself and being, training and developing yourself to be a contribution in that way and practicing a lot. And so I would see myself in others, I would see others in myself, and back and forth, and the whole thing just kind of spiraled upwards. And I've been doing it for a minute.
So, so how did you differentiate between your darkness and someone else's? Like, how did you not get yourself kind
I
of?
think eventually I did. I think I think there was a lot of hero in me when I first started leading, and some significance and a lot of hero. Perhaps that's the same thing, maybe different flavors of the same thing. But yeah, I guess a lot of significance. Like I was very significant about being effective and my results, and but again, that drove me forward to work harder too. So the significance served me in a way,
Wow.
because I was really committed to being the best, and wherever I was at, I was committed to being the best, and there were some really strong people around, so I just knuckled down and uh, um, and so differentiation. I don't. So yeah, so the hero wants to get into people's business and be the one to turn on the light. Get into people's. So I actually got really good at that, and I really did assist a lot of people, but it wasn't 100% clean because I was getting significance out of it.
Mm.
And gradually that dynamic turned into something more clean and completely, a whole nother transformation in my development and my capacities, meeting with John and started working together with him. Many gifts he gave me transform who I am and how I lead. And many gifts I gave him also was transformational for me because I could see the work I had done making such a difference for somebody that had so much respect for it, had so much capacity, was already just jamming at a high level. So when I could give him something and see like an immediate upgrade, it's like, oh, like I had a new appreciation for that thing that was already inside of me. And then he gave me something that upgraded me. Then so over with practice and time, John says one thing. John says a lot is I care enough not to care. So I've learned, like with this gentleman I spoke about today, I am not upset that he's upset, and that's really important. Because if I was upset that he was upset, if I wasn't okay till he's okay, that's the codependent relationship that a hero keeps getting involved in. And then I'm going to go, and if I'm in that loop with him, his chance of getting free of that loop drastically diminishes, because now I'm part of the problem with him. I'm trying to hero him, and he's either resisting, or either I am successful in heroing him and he feels better. Now he's confirmed that he needs a hero, or I'm unsuccessful, and then I turn into a villain. I turn into villain in his eyes, or whatever. Like, it's just more mud, more darkness, more confusion, more chaos, less light. So I just completely am fine with him being, he's entitled to be as upset as he wants to be for as long as he wants to be. And that's super cool with me. But when we do connect, I will be a clean vessel for whatever is now possible. And he will not be able to use me to prove to himself that he needs somebody to come and hero him. He's going to have to use somebody else.
I'm getting so many. Oh, shit. I see myself. Oh, man.
That's why I've talked to you about when we're lead the visionary program together is check that energy that you've got to do something with them. Like, something comes in and you see a swing, that's great, unless you need to take the swing. And if you need to take the swing, then it's as much for you as it is for them. And now it's not a clean swing. So the more you can literally not, so when I'm at my best, I can see the juicy target. Ooh, that ball's coming in. Oh, that looks like a home run. But if the ball stops or changes direction, I can drop the bat and wait for the next shot. No problem. Or someone else comes in and takes a swing, John or somebody else, like, no problem. And more in our community, the other leaders are implementing the things that occur. Something will occur to me and someone will do that. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, that's more rewarding to me than if I'm the one who says it, because my real commitment is to develop world-class leadership. So if the leaders keep taking my swings away from me, that's literally the highest victory. Someone was trying to tease me last night. Actually, three people, John, Mel, and Neil, were all trying to tease me when I walked through, and Neil says, "Oh, that was the best listening and love class ever," and they're now waiting for my response. They're all looking at me like waiting for me to get triggered. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, thanks," and I walked off, because that's actually what I'm here for.
Yeah. I've even heard you say that. Like, I'm not here. Like, if they, let me dial that in. Like, is that when a leader can see the leader within inside of themselves, then you've done the job. It's not about acknowledging the leader. It's acknowledging the leader inside of themselves. And so when you can see that, and when they can do that for themselves, that's really where it's at, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then this morning, just to put a little seasoning on top, I acknowledged Mel publicly because the class she's leading, I created it and gave it to her, right? So, which was part of their joke, right? That but I acknowledge her for taking something that was already beautiful and making it more beautiful and taking care of one of my beautiful babies. So, boom. So that's the opposite of how I used to do business. How I used to do business is I would have come up with a retort for all three of them that would have put them all in their place. But instead, I received it as an acknowledgement, which surprised them. And this morning, I'll double down with acknowledging her for doing such an amazing job and taking care of something that's really precious to me, which was 100% authentic. It wasn't like a move. And it's like my new way of doing business.
You hear so much in that statement. Like, the way that you operate and the way that you come from is really where it's all at. It's like, oh yeah, it's like where you're coming from is really where it's at, and again, I'm hearing commitment. Like, what are you committed to? What are you committed to?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's so good. That is so good. Oh man, now it's Now getting into the coaching aspect, it's creating that safe space for someone, that they don't feel judgment, that it's non-judgmental, and also to confront their darkness. So what do you do with that outslowing the darkness with that frame?
Well, first, let me attack the premise for a moment.
Okay.
So, yes, that sounds really perfect, right? Someone comes in, you want to make them feel safe. So that sounds really perfect, except when someone's in their ego is not safe. And so the lie that they're not safe is not being perpetuated by their highest selves. The lie that they're not safe is being perpetuated by their ego.
Mm.
Have the defense melt away. Did I get stuck? Do I need to repeat anything?
Yeah, I lost power for like a quick second, but we're back. So.
Okay, cool. So that is my default, and that is the obvious mood, right? Have people feel safe and let the defenses just kind of melt away, that kind of thing. So I do that. But sometimes when people come out with their ego, I don't want to say pretend to be reactive, but I'll meet force with force occasionally. So recently, but in that getting big with people, I'm not. Oh, my internet just stopped.
You're back. I can
I think the indicator is set. Okay. So occasionally I make people uncomfortable on purpose to pop them out of the loop. And often I'll do what you just said, be a safe space in which they can come out and take a look and see that it's okay. I'm not attached to either way, and I do use both. So it's not true that I'm always making people safe. Sometimes I'll slap people's egos around a little bit to rattle the ego. And sometimes people can see their ego reacting and defending, and all of a sudden they see that that's not actually them. So it goes either way. And sometimes making people safe doesn't work because the ego is now empowered to whatever.
keep doing,
Sometimes,
yeah.
Sometimes trying to pop people out of their ego doesn't work because they just get more angry. So it's not like it's like a science and an art mixed together. So anyway, I just wanted to start with opening up the premise. Sometimes I'm interested in making people feel safe. Sometimes I'm interested in rattling them enough where the ego starts getting visible, like as separate from the person that I'm speaking with.
Wow.
And,
that is
and I actually kind of learned that from John. John's a master of that in a way that I'm a master of bringing distinction to a conversation where people's ego defenses kind of melt away. So my training is kind of melting away the cage, and John's orientation and training is to set the cage on fire and jump up on it, stamp on it, stomp on it. So I've tried. So I like being balanced. So I'm practicing both approaches as I see that they're appropriate.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. That's like that hold 'em and fold 'em conversation,
Yeah.
like, and when to use something with a particular situation. I think it's an art to know also when somebody's in need of something and taking a swing when you see something. Yeah.
Well, it's really making a decision on what they're in need of and executing that as best you can, and then observing the results and making the appropriate adjustments. So sometimes I get big and I deem that was counterproductive and then I'll try something else. Or sometimes I'll be really safe and I'll deem that counterproductive and I'll try something else. And there's, there's probably things in the middle.
Wow. Wow.
So I may have sidestepped the question in dealing with the premise.
I think it answered itself. it's a case by case situation, and it's not about creating a safe container. It's about where you're coming from and what you're committed to, and getting something out of someone. It's about revealing the darkness. It's about confronting it. And it's not necessarily about.
Yeah, ultimately, people are at at the source of their own awakening or transformation, and all I'm attempting to do is create an environment where the success of somebody waking up or transforming something that's been their darkness or been their cross to bear forever, that they can see it and alter their perspective of it in a way that they're free of it, right? So I'm just setting up environments and conversations and worlds of language where the ultimate victory is like, oh, I see. I actually was do that to myself the whole time. Oh, I don't have to make this story like, oh, I don't have to attack people. I don't have to bite the hand that feeds me. I don't have to attack the one community that's standing for my greatness. Oh, there's a whole other thing. I could just embrace it. I could just, oh, I'm actually free now. Oh, I've been free the whole time. Oh my gosh. That would be like the highest, rather than, oh, Kirk, I agree with you and see what you're saying. I don't want that. What I want is, oh, I see it from, oh, snap, I've been doing this to myself the whole time. Like that's the highest response possible, because then I'm now no longer required. There's no dependency on me. I'm not trying to get people to imprint on me or depend on me.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to get people to see their own greatness and have their own visceral experience of everything I need is within me now. And maybe I'm clunky AF and I need a lot of practice. That's all beautiful, no problem. But the fundamental transformation is I'm not the darkness. I'm not those thoughts in my head. I'm not my ego. In fact, I do have everything I need inside of me now. And I actually see what the next step is. And then if they can, people just take step by step by step by step, which is all I did, just one step after another, then freedom is done. And we're just like working out the details how to get there.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot that was in that just now. What I'm hearing now in this present moment is that you're using the principles and the values that you have and whatever teachings, wisdom that you got along the way to provide people with the world of language to step into, and that they already are the solution, that you're not giving them solutions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh.
That's yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I'm often misunderstood as telling people what to think, but I'm actually just telling people where to look.
Yeah. And to cultivate those things, to cultivate your own values, your own
Yes.
world. Yes.
Yes.
Like,
From your
wow.
highest perspective. Most
Yeah.
people are living a life driven by a desperate 7-year-old. We make decisions about a child makes a decision about life under huge duress, getting beaten, getting raped, getting shamed, getting ignored, getting abused. And then you decide, I'm worthless. World is dangerous. People can't be trusted. And then we live those decisions. So it's literally like a 7-year-old under duress is driving most people's lives. And if people can see that for themselves, if they hear me say the words, it's like, that's an interesting insight. Fantastic evening. See you later. No value whatsoever. And people are often satisfied with like an understanding, which has literally no value. Maybe even a negative value, because then you stop looking. But if I can get people to see it for themselves, like, holy smokes, I've been doing that to myself. Holy smokes. Then freedom is on the way.
Yeah, it's already present, just seeing in that awareness, that transformation. It's like a freaking light bulb that just happens, and you're altered your trajectory, and now you're on a completely different path.
Yeah. And there's still lots of work to do, lots of practice, and all, how do I apply it in this moment, in this situation, whatever. Yeah, but that's eminently doable. That just practice, with an open heart and open mind. So it's done if people just won't give up.
Yeah, if you just don't give up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that inside of your commitment, what you were saying when you were practicing, and you're like, it was clunky AF, but I still have this, like, I'm gonna be the best. So that worked strategy. So I heard that in that. Yeah.
Many people did not predict me to be a racehorse. I need
No,
to,
but you did,
I
but
need
you
to
did.
wrap this up. I've got a meeting in 9 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can wrap this up. I wanted to breathe, that space that you had created, inside the Visionary Leadership Program. The relationship with yourself is of the most importance.
Yes.
And it really is that part of being the difference. And to be someone who prepares themselves for any battle that comes up. So when it comes up, it's already done. You know, and
Yes.
that really impacted me so much, you know, and it makes
I'm really having the experience of being heard and appreciated. I love this. Thank you.
yeah, it made me very emotional because it has me wanting to be that, not only for myself, but for whatever, you know, whatever comes my way, you know, that I'm gonna be that change, the missing piece that like I really needed in my moment, you know, and
Yes.
to be that for someone else, like, so when I wanted to come with this conversation, that was when you had spoke that breathed life into that, it deepened that commitment for me about being this. And so I really wanted to dive into this world because I want to outslow my own damn darkness, you know? And
Yes.
I'm like, fuck, like, let
Yes.
it start here, you know, let it begin with me. And so I really appreciate you and honor the work that you've done, Kurt, because it's really coming alive in me. And I want to be this for other people. And so this is another segue for you. If you are inspired by this conversation and you want to dive deep and you want to outsow your own darkness, there's a huge opportunity to be a part of this community in the Visionary Leadership Program. There is going to be links for you inside of the chat. Also to even find your own best message and different ways that you could find support and resources here to develop yourself as a resource. And so your difference makes a difference, and the world is a much better place because you exist and live a life of purpose.
Beautiful.
Thank you
I
so
love it.
much, Kurt.
I feel totally blessed to have this opportunity. You're super welcome.
All right, well, have a great day, guys.